We are back with another review. Let's talk about Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. It was insane. Like, it was a lot going on. And with that being said, Chico, hit explosions on it. So, let's get into this review. Like I said, it was crazy. Like, it was action from the beginning, and we found out about a lot of stuff, you know, pertaining to the Quincy's, the Soul Society, Ichigo's background, and a lot of other people's background, like Kapachi. Um, let's start with let's actually start with the Soul Society and the Quincy's. So the Soul Society and the Quincy's have been at each other's throats for generations, for like centuries, basically. So the Quincy's whole thing was like their mission was to completely destroy hollows and their like spiritual energy and stuff like that, was to completely just destroy like the hollows. But the Soul Society, the Soul Reapers, their whole mission was to not completely destroy the hollows and stuff, because their soul energy and like the whole balance between the spiritual world and like the real world, completely destroying the hollows and stuff like that, messes with the soul world and the real reality, like the world. And by the Quincy's just completely just trying to vaporize every single hollow, like down to zero numbers of hollows, it messes up the natural order, and it disrupts the real world, and it disrupts the spiritual world. So they was at each other's throat about that. Like, the Soul Society was telling the Quincy's, you doing this all wrong. You going about it all wrong. Our goals are the same, but the way how you're doing it is wrong. You're disrupting, creating I'm getting tongue tied, but creating an unnatural order between the real world and the spiritual world. And the Quincy's was basically like, we don't care about that. All hollows gotta die. So they couldn't come to terms with that. Like, they couldn't come to a type of agreement and make peace. So we learned that the Soul Reapers, a long time ago, centuries ago, invaded the Quincy's area and basically tried to wipe them all out. Like, completely tried to eliminate all Quincy's. So now, fast forward, we see that the Quincy's, like, their numbers have grown and they gotten a lot stronger, because, you know, a lot of them survived what happened with like the Soul Reapers, like what they did to them. A lot of them survived that, including their like king, like their leader. His name is Uwatch, if I'm pronouncing it right. Uwatch. But yeah, he's like the leader, their king. Like, they listened to him and everything. So he basically survived that whole ordeal, and he's basically been growing the numbers of Quincy's all around, and they basically got stronger and everything. So we fast forward to now, they invaded the Soul Society. They basically did the same thing to them that the Soul Society tried to do to them. So they invaded the Soul Society, killed a whole bunch of Soul Reapers, decimated the Soul Society. And on top of that, they learned how to steal Bankais, which is like the Soul Reapers' like their main ability to like fight. You know, when things get hairy, they use their bankais to eliminate their enemies, like hollows and stuff like that. So the Quincy's figured out a way how to steal their ability. They figured out a way how to steal it and then reuse it against them. So they learned all of that. They invaded the Soul Society, and they not only invaded the Soul Society, they invaded Waco Mundo and was killing a bunch of hollows down in there, you know, for their mission purposes. They was rounding up hollows or any type of souls in Waco Mundo and just murdering them, flat out murdering them. And so we get to Ichigo, and Ichigo finds out this news and everything. So, you know, of course, in Ichigo's fashion, he wants to help. You know, they came to him asking him for help, and he went down there to Waco Mundo and started helping. And while he was helping, the Soul Society was getting decimated. Their captains getting their Bankai stolen. Some of them, I believe, died or in critical condition. And it was just like a bloodbath in the Soul Society. Like, and then Watch tried to speak to Aizen. Aizen was held up down below in one of the captain's like bases. Like, he was held up down below, chained up and everything, you know, and his powers is like, you know, chained up and stuff like that. Like, he's unable to use his powers. They just had him held up, you know. And so Watch tried to have him join him. He's like, oh, I'd rather have him join me because he's that much of a threat to the Quincy's. So I'd rather him join the Quincy's than be against me. And Aizen's straight up like, hell no, I ain't joining y'all. And he basically seen through that. He's like, you basically want me to join you because you see me as a threat. So you rather have me close by and as an ally. And Aizen basically was like, nah, I ain't joining you. So Watch, which is the captain of the Quincy's, he continued like destroying and having his Quincy's destroy everybody, kill everybody. And Ichigo, he's back there in Waco Mundo trying to stop the Quincy's from destroying and killing everybody in Waco Mundo. Which he defended Waco Mundo well. He ended up, you know, completing his mission there, but he ended up getting trapped between the Soul Society and Waco Mundo because one of the Quincy's used their abilities to trap him in the midst of him jumping in the portal to try and get to the Soul Society, because they was asking him for help too. So he, on his way there, in between the portal, he got trapped there. So he got trapped there, and the Quincy's continued doing what they're doing. Like, they basically destroying everybody, like kicking butt, taking names. And nobody, when I tell you nobody was able to stop them, nobody was able to stop them. Everybody getting slaughtered. But then Ichigo eventually, you know, broke out. It was kind of too late. It was a bit too late. And, you know, Kenpachi, he basically got beat down by one of Watch's what do you call those people? One of his henchmen, basically. One of his henchmen that was very powerful, and he posed as Watch. I feel like I'm saying his name wrong, but I'm gonna just keep saying it that way because I don't want to butcher it even more or anything like that, because I'm not good at pronunciation on names. But one of Uwatch's henchmen, which is very powerful, he basically cloned himself. I guess his ability is to the clone a person, and whoever he clones, he gets their abilities, their power, and some of their power level. So Kapachi ended up losing and was about to die. Uh, and then we got the head captain, which is also interesting. We also looked at a little bit of backstory on him. I'm not gonna get too much into it. You will have to go and watch. But we got like glimpses of his backstory and stuff like that with his like assistant and the bond that they had. But yeah, his assistant ended up dying. But yeah, the captain, the head captain, that dude is, well, we all knew it and we seen it before, but he's really powerful. Like, he ended up, instead of sitting back, he's like, I basically thought that, the Soul Reapers, my Soul Reapers can handle it, but I'm gonna have to step in. And so that's what he did. And he ended up, making a little bit of difference, but not too much, because the Quincy's already did their damage. Basically, by the time he stepped in, they already like did what they wanted to do, really. But he stepped in though and took a few of them out, and then he eventually came across the person that, defeated Kapachi in battle, and he took him out. But he didn't know that that was just a clone. And the clone was to just keep him busy while Earwatch goes and speaks with Aizen and try to get Aizen on his side. But yeah, the head captain, he ended up taking out the clone. Then the real Earwatch came, and he basically did what he did. Like, they had their battle, and I didn't expect, spoiler alert though, if you haven't watched this, like if you haven't watched this season, please go and watch it before I say what's going on. I'm just tell you right now, this is a spoiler alert. But the head captain ended up dying. I didn't think he was gonna die. Like, I did not think he was gonna die. I thought he was gonna drive Uwatch away, and and then them recovering and stuff like that. But Uwatch ended up killing the head captain. He killed him. Like, I was like, he cut him in half and all of that, and blew his body up. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, yo, like, this season is really crazy. Like, it was really something. Like, I highly recommend you guys go take a look at it. But he ended up killing the head captain, and the whole Soul Society ended up, their numbers is down because a bunch of them got killed. But after Uwatch killed the head captain, Ichigo finally arrived. He arrived after the head captain had got killed, and he basically was battling with Uwatch. And Uwatch, he could have killed him. He could have killed him. He could have killed Ichigo, because that's how powerful he was. Like, he was like tremendously powerful. But he could have killed Ichigo, but he decided to let him live, and he went on back. They went on back. Every Quincy went back to their base, leaving the Soul Society like in shambles, like damaged, like everybody hurt, people are dead. Like, they basically had their way with the Soul Society. Like it was just like crazy, and I honestly didn't expect it to go like that. but it was like almost like it was complete domination basically. But yeah, they ended up going back to their base, and Ichigo's sword, like his sword ended up getting broken, and he also was wounded in battle along with a bunch of other people, and he basically had to go off. Like after that whole thing, they had to go and heal, obviously, and then train too. They had to train, and Ichigo ended up having to get a new sword. But in the process of him getting a new sword, he had to figure out like his whole background. He had to figure out his whole background, and we learned about his mother, how she was a Quincy, and he actually got Quincy blood flowing through him. That's why his powers was a little bit, when he was fighting Uwatch, his arm or parts of him was glowing, and his powers was a little bit on the fritz, because he's basically connected to Uwatch, because Uwatch is the creators. He is the creator of Quincy's, and basically his blood flows through every Quincy, including Ichigo. That's why Uwatch didn't kill Ichigo, because he felt Ichigo was a part of him, and he actually wants Ichigo on his side, so that's why he didn't kill Ichigo. But yeah, Ichigo ended up finding out, about his mother, her past, and everything, how she was a Quincy, and he got Quincy's blood flowing through him. So he's part Quincy and also part Soul Reaper. But yeah, we ended up finding out about that. We also ended up finding out about Kapachi's background, and how strong he was at a young age. And he basically needed training. He was already strong without any training. He was just naturally strong. That was his natural strength. He was just strong like that. But he never had training, because the Soul Society feared if he got training, he would be a problem for them. So they ended up never training him. But now, since this whole invasion thing happened, they decided he needs training. Now, his training was kind of crazy. So his training meant somebody had to die. I would suggest you go and watch this season to put all the pieces together. I don't want to say too much, but to put all the pieces together, just go look at the season, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, his training involved somebody dying, which is that lady, the healing lady that heals all the other groups and stuff. I didn't realize that she was that powerful in terms of fighting ability. Like, she was really a savage back then, basically. Like, she was like another Kapachi, but trained. She was like a trained Kapachi, but not as like his personality in terms of like killer or something like that. Like, obviously they both had two different personalities. She was like, she was trained by the Soul Society, but she was like basically like one of their top fighters, basically one of their top fighters, top assassin, all of that. I didn't realize she was like that, but she was the person who actually discovered Kapachi, and them two actually had like a really strong bond in terms of like fighting and stuff like that. Like, they love, one of those people who love the battle, who loves to fight and all of that. They both shared that same passion for fighting. But yeah, we learned about Kapachi's backstory and a little bit about her backstory. And this whole time, I don't want to either you, if I'm saying his name right, I'm always messing up people's names. But Iryu, he ends up finding more about the Quincy's backstory and the Soul Society. While this whole thing is going on, like the Quincy's are like was invading the Soul Society, he was sitting back, finding out about like the Quincy's backstory and more of the Quincy's backstory, because obviously he knew a good amount, but he found out more about the Quincy's and more about the Soul Society and their clash between each other, and how the Soul Society decades ago invaded the Quincy's base and killed a bunch of Quincy's and basically tried to wipe them out. So he learned all of that. Like, he was learning a bunch of stuff. But what's interesting to me is what I'm excited for about, next season is what is he going to do? Because at the end of this season, they showed him going to Ewatch and basically trying to join them. And that's what I found what was interesting. After that whole stuff happened with Ichigo and the Soul Society, so they basically know where they stand with the Quincy's, but I don't know where Iryu where he stands with, we just don't know. I don't know if he's there to like learn from the leader, or just learn from him and not really be a part of them, but like just learn as much as he can, or some type of spy stuff, like try to learn as much as they can and warn the Soul Society about their plans or something like that. But I'm really interested to see where does Iryu stands with the Soul Society and the Quincy's, like what's his role, like where does he stand. But yeah, we found out a bunch of stuff, man, and this season it was pretty exciting, and I give it a 10. It gets a 10 because it was that good. Like, we found out a bunch of stuff, and it was just action packed. But yeah, we recommend you guys to go and take a look at Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War. It was really good. You'll definitely have a good time watching it. And we also recommend that you take a look at our other review on My Hero Academia Season 6. We got 2 parts to that. We got part 1 and part 2. And also take a look at Vinland Saga review. And with that being said, this concludes our review of Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War. I highly recommend you go and check that out. It's definitely worth the watch. And with that being said, we're out.